Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and I did not want to talk about this video, but after watching other people make a couple of videos on it, and opening my eyes to their points of views, today we're going to discuss the subscriber drop numbers for World of Warcraft for Warlords of Draenor. The subscriber numbers rose up to 10 million at the beginning of Warlords, and now they're down to 7.1 million. Before I go anywhere, I think the game is still fun, and I'm still going to play it and still enjoy it, but the dip is real and I feel like it should be discussed, so that's what we're going to do today. As far as I understood, well, World of Warcraft is still the highest played MMO with the most amount of subscribers and members playing. Even though there's 7.1 members subscribed currently, think of it in terms of paperclips. That's a lot of freaking paperclips. Now think of it in those paperclips in terms of people. That's still a lot of people. Unless I am wrong, World of Warcraft still has the highest numbers of members as well as highest numbers of subscribers for an MMORPG. That adds into the other free-to-play MMORPGs. You can take anything, Rift, Guild Wars, Terra, anything else that comes along, maybe Final Fantasy. If any of you have the numbers and have the data to show me that somebody is beating World of Warcraft in terms of members and subscribers as an MMORPG, so don't start linking me to League of Legends with all the millions and millions of accounts that people have there. As far as I understood, World of Warcraft still has the most subscribers and still the most popular MMO out there in terms of numbers of people playing it. Now, but there are still issues coming out with the dip, and the dip is real. It did happen. I mean, it's a real factor. So we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna try to think in more positive manners, and we're going to discuss things that were done right and things that were done not that well with Warlords of Draenor by Blizzard. While we're in Ashran, we might as well take a look at Ashran. Ashran on the beta was the most fun place ever. The middle push was like the thing, the rave that everybody went to. It was fun just fighting back and forth, Alliance and Horde, the stalemates, not sure who's going to kill whose leader, everybody getting honor points for kills, and doing events from time to time as a way to like break from the middle, as a way to like take a break and do some fun events. Again, challenging either faction with equal numbers and equal opportunities against one another, not ever sure who is going to win Ashran. Currently, Ashran has, with whatever Blizzard did to it, and how much effort they're putting into it, they continue to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. Ashran is not as fun as it was in a beta, and that's me only as a beta tester who was able to play the original experience. I'm talking also about people that are playing Ashran currently and reasons why a lot of people don't like it. There are still a lot of people that play Ashran. There's a lot of full pre-made winning groups out there on both Horde and Alliance, more for Horde than Alliance. So there's still people playing Ashran, but Ashran is no longer the fun that it used to be back in the beta. And let me explain you why. The middle was the greatest portion ever, and it was the rave, but the middle only worked when there was equal amount of people on either side with equal amount of gear, equal amount of experience and whatnot. But that was ruined ever since they decided to add ability for people to join groups of pre-mates into Ashran. So now you have Alliance pre-mates and Horde pre-mates that are just winning events, pretty much uncontested all the time, getting the Nemesis Slayer titles and whatnot, killing the leader once in a while, and earning their conquest within a couple of hours sitting in Ashran, just running events back and back and back and back. While this is an effective way to do conquest points, and this is something I did myself, and I have no problem with it because it doesn't take that much time out of your hands, it's not fun and it's not challenging, and what made Ashran a lot of fun is the challenge of Horde and Alliance, that whole rivalry that the game has been concentrated around. Those might be some arbitrary things like, lore and such, but having a Horde and Alliance rivalry in the game has been of utmost importance. Another thing they did with Ashran is it removed a lot of fun stuff and fun items they had. I don't see as many people, using the slippery buff that you can get from blobs. I don't see as many people just flying across the map where they get the rare Goran blood and they can jump and leap bounds and leap up mountains. So there's no like Super Saiyan battles happening. You can no longer summon champions. Well, you can. You cannot buy the whistles for them anymore. And today I came to Ashran and summoned a champion, and I didn't get no Swift, no Bajira. I got Galaxy, some guy, but it's still a cool thing just to be able to summon extra people to help you push lanes, and I thought it was really neat. And I'm going to continue keeping my whistles up until the very end, up until they, maybe they bring them back. But a lot of fun things have been removed from Ashran, a lot of separation between Horde and Alliance have been created as there's barriers from pre-made groups, which kind of kill all the fun in having this whole rivalry versus Horde and Alliance and the whole point of pushing middle in Ashran and all the fun that it was back in the beta. So, and the worst part is, I don't think it can recover because it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths as is. So I don't know if Ashran can do it, but I don't think Blizzard should be spending that much time on Ashran, even though they're really trying to improve it really hard. There's not a lot they can do at the moment. Next thing we're going to move into is the PvP, which is what really matters to me. PvP and some of the issues. These are all skirmish games, but you'll see you got arena masters walking into skirmish games just there, knowing that they're going to kick some ass, and you know, easy as that. One of the things I have problem with skirmishes is just how uncasual they became as people got in their gear, and now you have all these arena glads and primal glads. I've seen a primal glad and a grievous glad running in together, playing a hunter warrior, and the amount of damage they can deal is insane. They can burst people down, definitely people with a better experience. So then you see all these people that are honor geared and looking for a casual experience just got completely wiped out, and they just can't do anything about it. I feel like that kind of ruins a bit of the experience of the casual PvP that they added in, the skirmishes that they added in the game. And I don't know, this is one of the things with skirmishes, that's my issue with them. I feel like with skirmishes maybe they need to make it a bit more casual again. I'm completely fine with them giving you honor points and gold and loot. Maybe even they should do like some random toys, maybe something casual, something fun. But also I think they should maybe scale down all the gear that you are, wearing within skirmishes down to honor point gear. Like, normally you scale the gear up, but what if in skirmishes scale the gear down to honor point level, so everybody with honor point gear has equal opportunity to fight against, let's say, the high rated players that are way better experienced and whatnot. I feel like that'd be kind of cool to bring a little bit more casualness to the skirmishes. And I like how casual they were at the very beginning, and then how diluted they became as people with gear had definite advantage over people that don't have any gear whatsoever, or barely know how to play their class. While I personally don't have a problem with Ashran, I still would like to see more people, with skirmishes. I have no problem with skirmishes because I have the gear, I have experience, I have people that I can play with and dominate in skirmishes. That's what I do. But I would like to see it brought back a little bit more of a casual experience by toning down the gear maybe, which would be a really cool experience, I think. It'd be a very neat idea, and that's just for skirmishes. For PvP overall, I would like to see more drastic PvP changes with not the PTR, but on patch notes. Like a lot of drastic changes. I remember back in Mists of Pandaria, warriors were just the greatest, the most powerful class, and then rogues were pretty much the worst possible class to play. And then in the patch, the rogues got the ability of cloak and shadows. Subtlety was just owning it up, just teleporting all over the map, ambushing people. Shadow priests were the flavor of the month at one point, and then they diluted and such, and then monks were terrible at the very beginning of the season, and then they changed them so they're just completely the greatest dueling class in the game. I want more changes like that. I would like to get a ton more variety in the game when it comes to these type of changes. I would like to see a lot more of it. I would want to see a lot more changes when it comes to PvP. Just left and right, just change something, do something drastic, do something crazy, give some cool ability or passive to somebody else, I think it would be the coolest idea ever. Just to mix it up a bit and make the game a little bit less stale, keep people on their toes, maybe like have Destruction Warlocks go from barely unplayable to maybe give them some instacast ability, just for, why the hell not, just for the fun of it. Maybe something crazy, maybe something cool like that. I think something like that would be an interesting experiment at most, if not at least. That's one of the things I would like in PvP, just more variety, more changes to it. It doesn't matter if they're crazy or overpowered or broken, it'll keep people on their toes, and eventually everything will bounce out. Eventually everything will. It's just, I think it'll be a little more variety, because then the Blizzard can get more reaction from the community. I know this would cause chaos, and a lot of people will be upset, oh, maybe this class is overpowered, or this ability is overpowered, and then the nerfs and such would happen later down the line. But as of today, you no longer see anything crazy happening in the game when it comes to PvP. It's been the same season and barely any changes, even though we had a whole patch 6.1, which is as much as that brought us. Unless selfie cameras have some crazy setting, Cephia, that increases all your damage by 500% that I've missed, we haven't really had anything huge change for PvP. Now, another thing I would want out of PvP is having more seasons in the game. And PvP seasons is what I mean by that. And I try to figure out how can I word this in the best way. Why would I want more seasons? I can't think of any good response of why we should have them, but I cannot think of any negatives out of it either. So bear with me as I try to explain it. Right now I'm just sitting on Rival, and I've been sitting on Rival because That's the rating I want to see if I can try to get, because that's what I got last time in Pandaria. So if I can get that, then I would personally feel accomplished, and then I can maybe push for a high rating next time, because then I would have at least rival title secured in Warlords of Draenor. But that my purposes for it are personal and channel related and whatnot. Well, mostly personal though. So what if there's a lot of other people in the same boat? So a lot of people got a rating they want, and they're just sitting on that rating because it correlates with a certain title, whatever the title may be. And a lot of people are just not playing because the season is just this long, so everybody's just waiting for the next season. I am definitely waiting for the next season, simply because we have a little bit of varied gear, and we'll all start with 0 rating, so there'll be a lot more people to start playing the game with, because since everybody will be at 0, everybody will be looking for games, so you can meet new people before you get the whole rating separation happening early on. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for, and kind of what I'm excited for. Everybody would have more moments of, finding somebody with the same rating as you. But since everybody starts at 0, and there won't be that, I guess, rating prejudice that comes with it. Like, oh, you're high rated, or no, you're not high rated, I shouldn't play with you kind of deal. Since everybody starts at 0 and everybody has an equal chance of climbing, I think it'll also get a lot more people to play, because a lot of people get discouraged from seeing everybody else. Oh, we got all the glads and the early in the season, and I'll just wait until the next season to really start playing the game, which is something I've heard from a lot of people who want to do arenas, but they just can't find anybody at the moment. So having more seasons, it would give those people more opportunity to really come out and really play the game, and I feel like they would enjoy the game a lot more this way. I know I definitely would play more seasons, I definitely would do more 3s. But I have my current reasons for sitting on my rating, and I've just been waiting for the next season. And with the next season, they could add more titles, so more chances for people to get titles. They could do slight alterations to gear, maybe even if they just recolor a portion of it. It's not like they haven't done before. Like, just look at some of the gear that was in Wrath of the Lich King. People would be fine with it if there was a little bit more variety to gear, even if it's just color related. I don't think anybody would complain. Maybe if they add like a little extra spike on the shoulder or something for certain sets, just for the kicks of it, just certain little variations. I think it'd be kind of neat, because then it would get people more active and more excited about PvP. People would do it more often simply because there's more opportunities again to get rating, to get gear, to play with the people you want to play with. I also can't see a single bad thing that come out of it. That's kind of the main point that's backing me here, is I can't see a single thing that could be bad about having more seasons. I would like it. I would have no problem with it. That's really all it. And also, I mean, I could talk about PvP and balancing, but honestly, nothing's going to be balanced up until the last season, and that's completely fine with me. I played through Pandaria, and I played as Combat Rogue, and I was completely just unplayable spec for the longest time, and in the last season I was able to get 2k playing Combat Rogue, and I was excited about that. Eventually things will match up, and will balance out at the very end of the season. So I'm not going to talk about balancing, because I'm completely fine with the game changing and certain classes being OP and the next patch not, or being toned down, toned up, and whatnot. So that's really all I have to say about PvP. So let's move into garrisons. Garrisons were a really cool idea. At the very beginning, I was very much excited because this was like the very first player housing that a lot of other MMOs that weren't as big as WoW had. Garrisons are a really cool idea, and there's not a lot that can be said that's bad about them at first glance. But that's on paper when we all first heard about it. But my garrison is in Shadowmoon Valley. I just have my garrison stuff. I have all the items and whatnot. And I kind of am bored with it, because at first they said garrisons could be customizable. So what went in my head? Yeah, you have a garrison stored in Shadowmoon Valley, but what if you could build a garrison in Nagrand? And there's a spot in Nagrand that pretty much looks like a pseudo-garrison. What if you could just amass enough resources and move your garrison here? Which is what I wanted to originally in Warlords of Draenor. There's a lot of the same stuff that's here, and you can expand more of the lands. You can get a little more gates, make them from wooden to stone gates. But you would just use your garrison resources to upgrade from one garrison to another. So garrisons wouldn't be just one place where you just go hang out at in one location for Horde or Alliance. What if you could move it to another place? And there's a lot of open areas around Warlords of Draenor that either have NPCs in a certain zone, like this one right here. I believe this one is even faded off and sectioned off from the Horde or Alliance. I think from whichever faction you're in. I'm pretty sure there's multiple different areas like this. with awesome views and awesome just environments and different time zones, because every place has a time zone. Like Shadowmoon Valley, for example, like it's always night. So Nagron would be a nice green setting with the sun, water, Talboks grazing the lands. It'll be just interesting. So this is what our original thought Garrisons were going to be. I did not expect them to be just a stable place where that everybody would get as soon as they get into Draenor. I was hoping it would be a little more customizable. That goes along with the buildings. Why can't I have an inn with a night elf rooftop and a night elf structure? Why does it have to be all human based? Like stuff like that, barracks or an inn that are pretty much neutral for either Alliance or Horde. They could have any kind of theme, and Blizzard, I don't think it would take them that long. Just take the same building structure that you have for an inn somewhere out in Ashran Woods and just apply it as an inn that I can stick in my garrison. It won't be that hard to make. I mean, we can change our guards. Why can't we change the way our buildings look? Garrison themselves also offer a lot of missions, which are neat as an idea, and they can bring you some interesting stuff, as well as extra gold, extra resources, extra XP for your followers if you're trying to level followers, but also they give you gear. So I didn't really get the idea of them getting gear, like the heroic gear from raids. Like, it was a cool idea at the time. I just thought it was a little much, because a buddy of mine literally sits in Garrison, gets heroic Blackrock pieces of gear once in a while from Garrison, never has to leave a Garrison. And Garrison's also introduced the idea, you don't need to farm mats anymore, here's all your herbs and here's all your mining. So that completely ruined professions. That's what Garrisons kind of is, it ruined professions, because you can pretty much level and do professions without even having to be the highest profession level. So Garrisons, with Blizzard, they kind of killed professions altogether, which I don't quite understand myself. I don't quite get how that went this way, how that went awry. There's been a lot of people that enjoy professions, and a lot of people have been proud of the profession that they played in the game, but they made it such just a meaningful, minute thing that nobody is going to try it anymore. So I feel like that's kind of one of the wrongs that Warlords of Draenor did for the game itself, with the introduction of Garrisons. Garrisons, you don't even need to get out of your house. You don't even need to get out of your garrison. So you were sitting in the house, inside of your garrison. So you're not going to go outside IRL, but you're also not going to go outside in-game either. So it's almost like it's a weird Inception kind of deal. It's like you're inside of a garrison while inside of your garrison, if you want to think of a house like a garrison kind of deal. It's just such a weird concept, and a lot of people did say there's no reason to get out into the world or do anything farming and whatnot, just because there's no reason whatsoever, because all the gear you need or all the farms you need can be done from your garrison, which is kind of crappy in my opinion. We have like all the garrison resources. I maxed my garrison. I wish I could move it somewhere. I wish I could customize it more, to move it, to do more cool stuff with it, and I wish there was more link towards outside world and the garrison for other unique ideas and unique things. I mean, let's say most of my legendary item stuff, the runes for Blackrock, I got them from my garrison missions. I did not have to run LFR all that often. I mostly got them from garrison missions and completing blacksmithing and engineering profession assignments, I guess, or work orders, and I would get the runes just easily this way, and I got all 300 of them times 3 for the legendary quest. So I thought that was a little bit ridiculous with garrisons. They were a really cool idea, but I think they have impacted into the world that is, Azeroth a little too much. So people are just not really, part of the world. It's, they're just in their garrison doing their thing. There's a lot of people literally log on the game, do their garrison stuff, log out. So it's kind of not even a neat or unique thing anymore. It's just some weird. And on top of it, for the raids and PvE, like, garrisons are required because there's certain items that you need, or certain followers that you need, or certain missions that you need in order to get better gear and everything. So there's definitely negatives with that, and it's just a weird concept, weird portion altogether, just how it all worked out. Garrisons are great, and they could have done so much more with them, but in the end, garrisons acted against the game and against the player in a way, to the point where the player doesn't have to interact with the world. And the whole idea of World of Warcraft is to create a world, not another game within the game kind of deal. So I feel like that was one of the main problems with the garrison. And last thing I get to talk about, other than uniqueness of characters, PvE. PvE is cool, PvE is alright. there's not too much to it. Heroic dungeons are not hard anymore. As far as they were, and I thought that was kind of cool, but no difficulty whatsoever. LFRs are way too easy. You can do your legendary quest without having to go into normal heroic or mythic mode for raiding. I did mine through LFR, and this is heroic pieces of gear that I'm getting, that heroic ring. So I think that's just not cool altogether, and I think that should just say just about everything for PvE. Well, I was happy I was able to cover that pretty quick. Not a big PvE on the channel or anything. I guess last thing I want to talk about is character uniqueness. This is something that a lot of people in their videos have brought up as an idea or as a concern, and I have to agree with them. Character uniqueness in Warlords of Draenor is kind of lacking. Everybody gets a legendary. Everybody gets a Garrison. Everybody does the same stuff as everybody else. The character uniqueness is kind of gone. It's just something players can create themselves. But usually items or certain pieces of gear would create this character uniqueness. Like getting a legendary, let's say, I don't have a personal example. Actually I do. When I played in Cataclysm, there was only a few select rogues that had the legendary dagger. There was a few select casters that had the legendary, what was it, staff? A legendary staff that turns you into a dragon as a mount if you want to use it. There was that kind of uniqueness in the game. You know, there was rated required gear that actually was better if you had a higher rating and you could buy the elite gear. So like a lot of this unique stuff in the game, it was only meant for certain people that were able to do certain things. That kind of gear definitely was there, and even from my experience, I was going to maybe bring up something like, let's say you played in BC and you did the Illidan raid, and then you got, you know, the glaives of Azeroth, and everybody was just like, oh, it's that guy with the glaives, that looks so cool, kind of deal, you know. So but I decided to bring something from my own personal experience since I did play in Cataclysm. Character uniqueness is not as high as it was in the game. Challenge modes, I see so many more people running around with challenge mode gear. I guess all you need to do is a competent group, not like an amazing group anymore these days. Even I guess the only thing you would have that's actually unique is mythic raiding. You would have like certain unique items from mythic raiding. Like there's Gul'dan's shoulders and headpiece for warlocks. Certain types of gear for certain classes that's very unique, very different. But even then, that's only for PvE and it's only for mythic raiders. And that's not something that anybody can just, like, you know, get into or get started. It's going to be people that have been playing the game for a while, and, you know, so it's like a lack of equal opportunity. So it ends up being not an item that everybody can get. It ends up being an item that only a few select people will be able to get and are probably going to get. So I feel like that kind of kills from uniqueness. The uniqueness should be is like everybody has the equal opportunity, not an RNG chance, but I mean maybe some RNG chance if like it's legendary of some sort. But equal opportunity from the start for everybody, but only the committed ones should be able to earn the crazy rewards that, you know, that's out there in the game. And I think it's a really cool thing that should be brought back and heavily reestablished. I would say, heavily reinforced. I think that'll be really cool, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it because then there will be more of an not maybe an emphasis, but also more of a what am I trying to say? There'll be more of an incentive to do great things, amazing things in the game. Whether it be PvE, maybe even some crazy Garrison mission to give you some crazy Garrison ability. You know, anything cool, anything unique that people can do and they can get that really puts them aside away from others. Something amazing you do, and you know, just very unique items, or very unique things, or very unique arbitrary stats, maybe arbitrary buffs that are very unique to each character to bring out more character emphasis into the game. And I think it'll be really cool. Really fun. I would enjoy it, and all I can do is from ideas that I think that are fun is from what I would enjoy. So there's that I have for character uniqueness, Ashran, PvE, PvP, and Garrisons. Talk about Warlords of Draenor. As some final notes to say, one thing that I did hear on Livesteam is maybe one of the reasons for people leaving WoW as is because it's all the people that have been playing it from vanilla, the ones that left, and the people that have been playing since Kata are still not bored of the game yet. And I'm kind of in the boat where I've been playing since Kata. So maybe I'm just one of those people that haven't left, and maybe that's just a natural thing that's supposed to happen to the game over time after 10 years, because when you think about it, most of the people that started playing the game back in the day were 14 or older, and this is 10 years later. So it could be people are just kind of growing up out of it, sort of kind of phase. Otherwise, I'm still playing the game, still having fun. Hopefully Blizzard will figure out a way for the game to bring in newer audiences, not people that have been playing the game since 10 years ago. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the discussion and what you think about the sub number drops. Again, try to keep it as positive as I can. There's a couple of things Blizzard have done greatly, and those are some of the things they can kind of, steer the ship towards that direction where they're doing well. And then there's some of the other things they've done that are not as good, and those are kind of the things that are drawn back. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name is Darren, and I'll see you guys in the next one.